Hello, I'm Rachel from Dwensa Garden in Ireland, and you are very welcome to this greenhouse update in autumn. In today's video, I'm going to show you my glasshouse, which is this structure here behind me, and you may be wondering why it's all white. Well, that's because it has been insulated with bubble wrap to keep the heat in, and all my plants in there are snug and cozy. In there we have my permanent collection. Well, we'll have a look at that in just a moment. Also in this video, we're going to take a look at my second greenhouse up above, which is the working greenhouse, and where seedlings and propagations take place and are overwintered heat-free, let's just say, on the dry side. And then finally, we're going to take a little look at these boys here. Now, you can't tell what they are because they are very, very tall, but these are my Furcraea. And if you want to get your hands on some Furcraea bulbils for your garden, then do stay tuned. Again, welcome to the video, and here we are inside the glass house, and I can't wait to show you my permanent collection here and what is looking good, and I guess not in this season, but there have been several updates since you were last here. And I suppose the most noticeable thing that I'll deal with first is the bubble wrap, which is this white stuff that's all over the glass house. And the bubble wrap is there. It doesn't look very good, it's a bit unsightly, but it's there to insulate the greenhouse. Now this is one that I put heat into in the winter, and the idea there is to maintain a 5-degree minimum, so that's 41 Fahrenheit, and plants are supposed to just tick over. It's not a hot house, it's not a place where I can grow tropical things that require a 10-degree minimum like orchids or whatnot. This is a place where plants are expected to go dormant and to just tick over for the winter. So the emphasis is on keeping them alive at minimum cost. So the bubble wrap gets put up in autumn every year. There's a video somewhere on how to do it, and it gets taken down in spring. And when I put the bubble wrap up this year, I got a bit of a shock because I had completely forgotten that we'd had a little accident last year, and my cat, Katski, had been locked in the greenhouse overnight, and of course she tried to get out, so she clawed through the bubble wrap with the result that there were big holes in it. I had completely forgotten. So what I have ended up doing is put a second roll of bubble wrap over the lower section of the greenhouse, and actually, do you know what, that's great because it means double insulation. I love this time of year when the greenhouse is just newly packed with my plants. So everything has to come out in order to put the bubble wrap up, and it gets cleaned and all that kind of thing. And then the plants go back in. And it's a great opportunity to get rid of anything that isn't looking great or is dead and just arrange them in the best way possible. So this section here at the end of the staging that's nearest the door has the stuff that's in flower at the moment. And I guess a great place to start is with my Haemanthus albiflos, or the shaving brush plant, which is this beautiful specimen I have here. Now this is a South African bulb that's been in my collection for 13 years, and over that time it has gotten fatter and produced more bulbs, and now I have a healthy big clump. It's also an extremely reliable flowerer. So I have various Haemanthus. I absolutely love that genus, but this is the one that always flowers for me. Now it's an evergreen bulb, so it doesn't lose its leaves in summer, and it flowers at this time of year in autumn, and those flowers are so dinky. Now the flowers are just opening, and you can see how much they look like a shaving brush with their kind of white bristles and the little orangey or yellowy tips which contain the pollen. And something you should know about me is I am a big fan of reliable flowers. We all have the odd challenge plant, the one that we grow because it looks absolutely amazing if we can ever get it to flower, and that's grand, but we do need a good number of ones that flower regularly just to keep our spirits up, and this Haemanthus albiflos really is one such plant. And speaking of reliable flowerers, that brings me to my Veltheimia, which gave me a bit of a shock this year. Now, this is also a South African bulb that does really well and flowers at this time of year in autumn regularly for me, but it is one that goes dormant in summer. Usually it's a very, very brief dormancy, but my bulbs this year for some reason just decided that they were going to take a little bit of a longer sleep. So much so that I was a bit worried. I could tell the bulbs were still firm. They weren't rotted, but they just refused to wake up. But you know what? They got there in the end. So Veltheimia is a great plant. It flowers with pink spires. The leaves, as you can see, are coming first. And the leaves are great. They're lovely and wavy, so that it doesn't even need to flower to look good in anyone's collection. Well, this Veltheimia cluster came to me at the same time as the shaving brush plant 13 years ago. I'm really showing my age now, aren't I? But I guess that was the beginning of my collection of South African bulbs. And I still have most of the bulbs that I received back then as baby bulbs 13 years ago. And most of them flower regularly now. You'll notice a pot of Cyclamen there just behind the Haemanthus. Great for colour at this time of year, a really reliable, gorgeous plant that, I mean, do you know, if you've a cool room or a greenhouse, it's just one that you shouldn't be without. And just beside it, we have Groot, who is the wooden ornament that oversees many of the plants in the greenhouse and makes sure they stay on the straight and narrow. You can tell by his face he looks a little bit grumpy, but some of these plants, my goodness, they really need to be kept in check. And autumn is a great time for another very popular South African bulb, the Nerine. Now, Nerine bowendii is hardy in my part of the world, zone 9, and is grown by many people outdoors in the garden. But I have a couple of cultivars that aren't reliably hardy and need to be grown as pot plants, including this fantastic Lost Dreams. This one has a purplish tinge to the outer petals and then a bright orange stripe in the middle, and I just love the colour combination. I have 3 flower spikes this year, and I suppose there are about 5 full-sized bulbs in the pot and a little baby. But yeah, this is a really good result for me, and do you know what? I really should feed this plant. And just behind Lost Dreams we have Nerine crispa, which is coming into bloom with just 2 spikes. A way to go yet. And moving just a little bit further to the left, we have a couple of cactuses. Oh, one's a cactus and one's a succulent that are coming into flower. And here we have Faucaria and Cleistocactus, both in bud. This is the bud of the Cleistocactus, and it really flowers quite reliably for me at this time of year. It sends up flowers that last for not very long, but it's just lovely to have them. Now, the Faucaria, on the other hand, is a bit more of a tricky customer. You can tell that it is absolutely covered in buds. We can see this one here is just about to open, and there's a bud, 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 there's a bud. We have one that has passed down there, which obviously I missed. But the thing about this plant is that changes in temperature or movement can make the buds blast, so it's not a reliable flowerer. I should mention at this point that not everything that needs to be brought into the house has been brought in yet. So there are some plants that I grow that require more than 5 degrees 41 Fahrenheit during the winter. So they'll be brought into the house, and I do try and keep those to a minimum. But the Dracaena, which is the plant over there, the big one here, has done so much better this year. And I wonder, was it because I brought it into the house last year? So maybe that one is going to come in. And here we have a recent addition to my collection, which is in the Gesneriid family. You can probably tell from the leaves and the colour of the flowers. And it's in bloom at the moment. Beautiful, vibrant orange flowers. This one has just gone over now, so I will deadhead it. But you can see that there are more buds coming. And hopefully this will go on to make a great show. And further along the staging, we have various plants, including my astrophytum collection, which I think also needs to go into the house. And oh, down in the corner, there's something somebody asked about. So down here, let's just move this plant a bit out of the way so you can see what I'm talking about. We have my Dendroseris, I think that's the name. Anyway, it's the Robinson Crusoe palm, a beautiful, beautiful tree known as the cabbage tree that produces big, big leaves. And somebody contacted me and asked me about it because theirs isn't doing too well. Well, mine isn't doing too well this year either. It's been growing, but slowly, very slowly. And over to the left, we have all my epiphyllums. They're all here on this wooden table that really needs to be replaced because it's disintegrating. But I have so many of them. I really need to not buy any more. But it's so tempting when those flowers come. They are absolutely spectacular. And right in the middle of the epiphyllums is my metal pig, which is a super little thing that was sent to me by somebody in the States, just like that, for no good reason. And he's a flying pig with wings, but I absolutely love him. In the centre, we have my cold orchids. So there are cymbidiums and coleogyne. The Laelia anceps died during the summer. I got a bit heavy-handed with the watering and rotted it. The bottom staging of the shelf contains mostly South African bulbs that are asleep and that I'm waiting for them to wake up. Come on, lazy bones. And down here on the floor, I have 3 bulbs I just want to mention. So the one on the left is a Scilla maritima, which was recently repotted and is sending up beautiful lush leaves. Hope it will flower beautifully for me. In the middle we have Haemanthus humilis, which is one that flowers in summer and goes dormant in the winter, still producing lovely lush leaves. Look how big those leaves are. And this is my second most reliable Haemanthus flowerer. It produces a beautiful pink ball in summer. Very great thing. And then just on the right we have my Boophone disticha, which looks a bit sad at the moment because it's about to lose its leaves for winter. And we have just missed the flowers of the amarine. And the amarine is a cross between Nerine and Amaryllis belladonna. It was beautiful, honestly. And over here on the left we have the permanent planting in the greenhouse border. And this display is doing really well. I expect the protea there in the middle to produce lots and lots of flowers in spring. I absolutely can't wait. I can see the buds already. And 2 cannas doing super. Well, there's the canna on the left, Canna Musifolia, named as such because the leaves make it look like a banana, but it's not, it's a canna. But there's also the little one further down called Panache. I'm disappointed to say that it's finished flowering. I thought I might show you some of its beautiful flowers. Now, if you saw my recent video, a visit to June Blake's garden in August, she talks about Canna Panache. And the great thing about Canna Panache is that it gets quite big if you put it into the ground. but it flowers reliably, and I tend to have problems getting cannas to flower. They really don't do well for me. But Panache flowers, and what it also does is if you grow it in a pot, it stays small and flowers as a small plant, which is really something that a lot of people are looking out for. And yes, I killed my Brugmansia sanguinea. Why? If you saw the last video, you'll know why. It was getting too big for the greenhouse. It was pushing up the paving at the base, and it was just going to cause problems. So I've killed it with weed killer, and I'll remove it in spring when it's less of a big deal to get the roots out because they'll be dead. But I've taken cuttings. So here are the cuttings. That one's not looking too hot, but the other three seem to have taken. And the idea is to experiment and try planting this cold Brugmansia outdoors. It would be kind of borderline here in my part of the world, zone 9. But I'm going to try it because I can't grow it in the greenhouse, and it does so much better in the ground than it ever did in a pot. And I just want to show you, reaching down here, something very funny. So this is also Brugmansia sanguinea, and you know where this came from? Well, that guy there, whom I had to prune hard twice a year. Now, I do mean twice a year, removing about half of the growth. Well, it snuck out underneath the walls of the greenhouse and sent up a shoot from its root outside in one of the borders outside. So yeah, definitely had to go, definitely too big for its boots. But this one I lifted because it's a baby. It was in the wrong place, and I'll nurture it for a bit until it gets bigger, but this is going to be strong, and this one is going to go on and do great things. I'm quite sure of it. Okay, right, let's take a look at the other greenhouse now, the working greenhouse. Okay, so now we're in the greenhouse, the working greenhouse, and the rain has started. So if the acoustics go a little bit, let me just say, noisy, then you know what that's about. But this is the greenhouse that I do all of my work in, and I just want to briefly show you what I have on the go at the moment. Organicgarden.ie is the company in the west of Ireland that I got this greenhouse from. So if you're interested in a similar greenhouse, do go to their website, organicgarden.ie. First up, disappointment. The stalks that I sowed, well, a number of them are coming into flower already, which means I sowed them just a bit too early. But the big disappointment is that they are not double. They were supposed to be double, so I'll have to get back to the seed company. All of the other biennials that I sowed seem to be doing well, and mostly they're going to stay in here over winter, and I'll plant them out in spring. I've already planted out a whole lump of the wallflowers over in the west garden, if you recall. My calla lilies have all been lifted and are drying. Amorphophallus konjac is lifted and drying. A number of my aeoniums have been lifted and are here on this garden table that I put in the greenhouse. I really need to lift the rest of them before the frosts come. And this is Pelargonium Ardens, a beautiful, beautiful one, much sought after for its blood red flowers. And that's where we just came from. That is the glass house there. We're just looking at the bubble wrap. It has its back to us, and I suppose I'm going to sit in front of it now, so that's grand. Okay, so this is the working greenhouse, and I'm really looking forward to getting going in spring with new seed sowing. I have this table here. The potting bench that I bought earlier on, it's really too small for purpose. It's grand for a little bit of potting in the summer, but for any kind of major spring sowing, I'm going to be using this table, and it's just wonderful to have the space to do it. I am experimenting this year with overwintering a few annuals, petunias or seraphina in particular. Petunias, I suppose, aren't really annuals because they can live for up to 3 years if treated right. And there will be the pruning of the grapevine soon. So yeah, that's all, I guess. Oh yeah, I did forget the Furcraea. So let's double back now to the glass house and have a look at my giant Furcraea, which is singing its swan song. Okay, finally, what I want to tell you about is my two giant Furcraeas, which are these beautiful plants here. Now, if you want to know more about it, I'm going to link up above to a video. This is a plant that's monocarpic, so now that it has flowered, it is going to die. But as its swan song, it produces masses and masses of bulbils. And those are all those kind of little baby plantlets that are hanging from the branches. Whoops. Aha. So I've just picked one down here, which I'll show you. See, so it is actually a plantlet that very easily takes if you plant it in a little bit of soil. So this plant here took 11 years to flower, and it can take 9 to 13 years, somewhere in that ballpark. But a friend of mine who got bulbils from the same source, hers flowered the year before, and she gave me some of her bulbils. So I planted them up, and here they are. So this is the one picked now from my plant, and these are ones that are a year old, which were easily just potted up in a little bit of gritty mix and kept frost free over winter. So it's a greenhouse plant, and very quickly these will get big and produce a fantastic tropical looking plant that is very, very low maintenance. So, you know, it needs to go into the greenhouse in winter here in zone 9, but it needs no watering over winter. In summer you lift it out in the pot, you put it in your border, and I never even water it in summer. I just let the rain do whatever it will. So anyway, I have loads of these and I want to give them away at cost, let's just say. So if anybody wants some of the Furcraea bulbils, then I will send 10 to you for the cost of €5. So if you're in Ireland, €5 please. You'll need to PayPal it to me, but let me know if you're interested and I'll send you 10 bulbils. And if you're in the EU, then €6 please, and I'll send you 10 bulbils. And hopefully, well, in 11 years, you'll have something amazing like this. The flowers are fantastic when they were in bloom. Super, super thing. But yeah, an easy plant to deal with and an exotic one too. So if you want something a bit unusual, it's a great one. Anyway, message me if you're interested. If you click on the About tab on YouTube, it will allow you to contact me, and that'll generate an email which I receive, and we can sort it out from there. Okay, that's all. I hope you enjoyed my greenhouse tour this month. And if there's anything in particular that I didn't cover that you'd like to have seen, then do let me know and I'll be sure to cover it in the next video. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!